Right, so my next stage is to inspect the mainspring, or the only spring, here on my Olie Baker style mainspring winder, who I got from Northside Clocks. It's quite expensive, they're well worth getting. This one I've had for a couple of years, and I made a mistake in getting 2 or 3 other styles which didn't work. This is pretty near it. However, I've got a problem now, which I will try and explain. I've got to get a collar to take the spring in this. And this one, which would fit, this spring would fit in quite easily, unfortunately, I think is going to be too small. It's going to be too tight to get the spring in. And this one, the collar, it's pretty near the same size and it could cause problems, but I've got no choice, so I'll use this one. So that one goes back in the box. I think the winder here is the right size, I hope. Yes, that's all right. Just that goes on there, that goes there. Got to take this off first, so I'm going to use this, and where I get it off, and a smart tap. There, with a pad, so you don't spoil it, and that gets the cap off. Now, you see that is pretty awful. It may be that I've got a problem here in that the spring is not catching on the eye properly there, on the arbor. I may have a problem. Anyway, it looks pretty dirty. Maybe all right. We'll see. So I put the collar on. Get that up there. I know it's only a very small spring, but precautions are always sensible. The winder comes with plastic handles, or Bakelite handles here, which aren't any good. They're okay to begin with, but you can't really get them tightened up, and at the end they cause you trouble and they start breaking, and then you've got a problem. So I obviated that by putting a number, I think it's 6mm bolt through there, and made the hole and did it that way, so that I've got it and it works quite separately. So let's see how this is going to go. So that's the which I've polished up, which I hope is going to be alright. That's for the back. I've cleaned it off. It was painted before, but I wasn't very satisfied with it. I didn't want to paint it again, and I've just stuck that up. Right. Let's check it. Right. Good. Right, looks okay. Not quite tight enough. That should. A bit more perhaps. Right. Where I made a mistake is I forgot to note where the inside pin was, so I'm not quite sure how long the tail's going to be here, which is very important. Right, now let's get that out. This is bad news. I've got it. I haven't got it in the right place. But I'll just show you what I mean. If I can ease it off. First, I didn't get the tail in the right place. That tail should be sticking out here. But the spring is split. So that is bad news. I will take it out and have a good look at it. But I've got to put it back in and make sure the tail gets up there. What I failed to do was to note where the pin inside is. And so I wasn't sure how long the tail was. So I'll put that back in. And let's see how we go from there. If I can catch it again. But I may spoil the spring, but it's already split. And that is a problem. Right, so now I want to get that in the right place so that I've got enough tail. I think I'm right this time. I think I am. No, it's still wrong. Still got it wrong. And that's a real mess. An awful lot of verdigris in there. Well, I think that spring has had it. I'll review it and let you come back later. Well, it's a bit later now. I've had a look at what this means. As you can see, the tail's disappeared in there and it's split. I've taken measurements of this, and it's such that the drum diameter is 30.25, the spring width is 19.25, and the spring thickness is 0.25. And the only spring that I've got to replace it is one with a width of 20 millimeters, which wouldn't be suitable for a 19.25, because then it wouldn't fit into the drum with the cap on, and so I'd have a problem. So I've ordered another one, and that will be coming anon. In the meantime, I'm going to take this out, see if I can repair it. I doubt if I'll be able to, and it depends upon the width of it when open as to whether it'll be worthwhile trying to do that. So I'll be struggling with this, and when I've done it I'll come back to you, but I've got to push it out from underneath and pull it out with a pair of pliers. It's not a very satisfactory situation, and usually you damage the spring when that happens. So when a spring's like this, it's usually a write-off, but I'll come back. Well, I've got the spring out. Here it is. The diameter is 86, 85, well, 2.5 times the diameter of the drum is 75, so that in theory should be okay. So I'm going to clean it. I'll try and repair it, and to do that I've got to cut this off here, heat this end, drill it, file it, so then I've got a hole which looks like this, except it's not split. Well, I've had a look at the spring, and it's a bit depressing because when I look at it closely, I think you can see all these the streaky bits there, but there's some gook stuck in the middle, which is maybe old grease, which has solidified, and it's a bit like sticky treacle. So the spring's not going to run very smoothly, even when I put some lubricant on it, if it's got these little imperfections. This is okay up this end. You can see this, that's fine. But as soon as you start coming down into the spring, you can see that these areas here have got sort of dried, it dried something or other. I'll try and clean it off, but I cleaned it off with white spirit and it didn't work. So I'll have to do something a bit more severe. I think I might use 2000 grit sandpaper to see if I can get a polish on it. If that works, then I might do something else, afterwards. But you can see this is a used bit of 1500, and I'll see how it runs. Even that doesn't get it all off. Well, I've been able to clean off the spring quite well in the main, but you can see that there is still some gook there, which is very upsetting. But since that's the centre near the arbor, which will be here and will be rolled up tight in the barrel, it won't affect it as much as this section. And this section, having used the 2000 grit, is really pretty good. What I forgot was that there's also the inside of the spring. So in this section here too, that had to be cleaned off. I'm happy to give it a go. What I must do now is to cut this piece off about here, because you can see that that's been tempered. Cut that off about there. Then use this as a template on this section. Put this section into a fireproof situation where the heat transfer won't go up that way, and that's going to be quite simple. Temper it, drill it, cut it so that I've replicated this without that little bit there, which is now fallen off, and make a new tail for the spring. And then that will then be applied into the barrel. But you can see the barrel is pretty scored, and as a result of this tail being broken off, I don't know how it would work. Maybe it occasionally jumped off and then ran amok inside the barrel, and it would only work for a few hours, and people didn't really understand it, and it was going to cost quite a lot of money to have it redone. And the gook inside was it was almost like solidified glue. It was terrible. Down here where the arbor went out. So I will come back shortly, have this set up. I will then heat this section and temper it, having cut off this, and use this as the template to make the new end tail for the spring. But this now, I'm really quite happy with that. That looks pretty good, and I think by the time it's got some proper lubricant on it, it'll do very well. And the diameter of this is such that that is, as you see, very nearly 100 mil, which is over 3 times the size of the barrel, which is 30 mil diameter, which gives you enough leeway to be able to say that this spring is still usable. So I'll come back later and see how it goes. Right, now to cut the spring, I've put it in a vise and another vise and a holder, and this is tempered steel here, not like this bit here which is not tempered. So this is the extension of the tail. I think it should be fairly straightforward. I can. So, cut off, that looks good, and here I've got the tail, which I will temper this section with a torch, put that on there. Get a marker, mark that out, and then this will have been tempered up to here or thereabouts, and I will then be able to file that lot down. Right, now to start the next phase. My information comes from this book, which is a book by Scott Jeffrey, Mechanical Clocks. I trust you can see that. Yep. And he tells me what to do. So there's nothing clever as far as I'm concerned. I'm just following what he says. What I'm going to do now is to anneal the spring and then make the hole in. So I'm using one of these things just as well to get something that's going to do the job properly. I have a fire extinguisher down here just in case. So It's got to be red hot. I think that'll do it. It says cool it. Fairly slowly, but I don't know if that's any good. Okay, I don't like that. I'm sure it should be blue, and that's not. Do it again. Right, we'll see how that goes. Now I've finished doing this. I have made the new hole and eye, which is not too dissimilar. There's a slight curve on this which I can adjust. I'm using the smaller collar to try and put it back into the barrel, and now I'll proceed with that. I'm a little cagey. I'm not sure if this section here is going to catch on as it should do to the arbor, but we'll see. It might fly off. So let's hope it's going to work. Let's try it. Let's see. Took a little while, but I was quite pleased. It was quite exciting. Followed the book as best I could. Okay. Hook this on. Like that. Now I've upset the balance there. I've got to reduce the diameter of the centre section here. So I'll come back after I've got it fixed